travels through our network in last 6 years grew by 50,000%. You hear me right? 50,000% our data traffic. This is the explosion of Internet things. All the things, the computer, connected device, mobile, everything is helping us to get there. So therefore, you have a great opportunity space of a tremendous amount of data coming through. We are able to using more modern technology to capture, but the capture is not the answer. It's how to use it, right? So then this is one also characterization, the four V's. You already know. I don't want to bother you. Big data aims to create a sophisticated analytic environment that exhibits scalable performance, cost-effective operational ease. I think that you will go through the rest of the workshop to learn some of those from the industry leaders, experts in those. But what is big data means today? These are the couple of the big areas. And also big data introduce a whole new category of terms of the product and methods, Hadoop, MapReduce, not only SQL kind of a technology, okay? But I also want to lead you to the next one, because knowing how to collect data, store the data massively over a cloud infrastructure, distributed very reliably, is just the beginning of your big data. The real work actually begins when you are able to perform analytics. What I actually emphasize this is that there are a few things I wrote on the right-hand side. Integration, intelligence, and insight with speed and scale. Let me just talk this through just a little bit. Why I choose the word first, integration. Used to be we collecting data very siloed, okay? So giving you the AT&T example, we collect the TDM technology data, one silo. IP network, one silo. Optical transport, one silo. Mobility, one silo. Today, with the new big data technologies, we are able to collect the data, merge the data, and perform cross-section of that. It is benefiting AT&T operation tremendously. Just think about this. If I have an optical network issue that percolates into the IP level, and also to the voice over IP level, and to other services, why I have to AT&T operation even spending a single minute to chasing after a voice phone call issue and a IP issue? You just needed to straight go to the root cause to fix the problem, everything. And we even use those statistics and optimization skills to auto recover all the services without even customer knowing the transparency. All this involves data analytics, the integration and correlation, right? Intelligence is the next one. When you have data, you look at the massive amount of data. The value of data scientists provided to the business and enterprises is that you are able to, looking at a massive amount, spaghetti data, and you come to your CEO saying, hey, let me tell you what that data means for you. Whether from operational perspective, from product perspective, from your future business perspective, what does that mean? Then you hit a home run. It's priceless. When you think about someone is paying your CEO and CFO huge amount of money, I'm telling you they have to pay you huge amount of money. Because now you help them to make decisions, right? I mean, this is honest thing, right? Okay, let's move on to the next one. This one is just share with you our view of when you're leveraging the cloud, when you build the infrastructure. This is a simple chart saying you need to have a scale out architecture, which means that earlier I talked about the speed of execution and the scale of the performance. Really, that will make a difference. And you needed to know not only are able to do all the analytics, but operationally, you want to automate all the tools and put in a scalable format. And this is one of the way to do architecture. This one just shared with you in 2013. There was an article published in the news on the internet. They talked about top 10 challenges by CIOs around the world, and they list the big data to big insight, big vision, big opportunity as one of them. And then I also want to talk about this big data guiding principles. This is the area most of the people may ignore. I'm telling you honestly. Say, I just take the data and I can analyze the data. By the way, you have to look at this. First, data is an asset. Maybe for a startup company, it's not as that important to grab whatever the data you get. You are not always so worried about. So you know AT&T, when we do big data in Foundry, someone said in AT&T Foundry, big data Foundry in Plano. Every time when we want to launch a services, you don't know how many legal experts we put on the project to review that we are not violating consumers' privacy. We are not violating personal sensitive information. AT&T actually have a very, very strong commitment to our customers, to our community, that we will hold highest ethical standards. When you do the data, it's very, very easy to slip on them. Okay? So we strongly believe when you play the big data game, data is an asset, data needs to be governed, data is also shared. Okay? Whether you're a big corporation or small startup company, it's owned because the value. Now the data is owned. And data is also protected. And also data should be discoverable and accessible. Data architecture must be flexible. So some of the very, very simple principles I like to share. And big data trends, emerging technology, and many of you may already know, so when you go through the boot camp the next couple of days, I hope you can validate some of what I'm saying here. Hadoop is maturing from ETL standard to displacing traditional data warehouse. And by the way, I'm not saying ETL technology is no good, but the new technology will bring revolutionary ways and approach to address that space. How many people would, any of you from healthcare industry, insurance company? Well, quite a few. Which company you work for, by the way?
You're with the Anthem, not insurance, it's the healthcare.
Any of you know United Healthcare? Any of you get your insurance plan from them? I'm with United Healthcare, but AT&T is with them. Do you know how much money they spend in processing their data, ETL? Anyone dare to give a guess? How much money they spend each year? I tell you, it's alarming when I saw this statistic. $3 billion collecting and processing the data. It's amazing. Okay, so I think this will help us to address some of this. Query interface becoming much more real time. Okay, this is the technology. I think in today, when you do individual analytic jobs, writing queries over the data infrastructure, you can do some of those. But operationally, how to make a concurrent use real time, this is still a major challenge for us. Okay, developer-driven adoption of NoSQL database for new applications, cloud-based, will increase dramatically. I tell you, any of you work for Oracle? Sybase? No? That's good. Oracle is in trouble. I don't know why Oracle is still have such a high valuation. Maybe the CEO is doing a great job. But Oracle, obviously, they move into, they bought many other business, they move into many other areas.
That's why they have two CEOs.
Oh, then now they have two CEOs. Aha, that's the reason why. But I tell you, Larry stepped down for a reason. Because he carries a legacy, right? From the traditional relational database point of view. He needs someone to take the company into the next transition. If they don't do it, they will be the HP and IBM today. I'm telling you, you saw the HP announcement, they're splitting the company.
Yeah.
They're much more focusing on software. IBM realized they stumbled again over the, they made a successful transition in the late 1990s, but then now they stumble again. But Oracle, you look at it, this will take over them. In-memory data grid and visualization interface driving analytics at the speed of thought. Because all the technology, the cheap appliance, the hardware, will enable us to configure and put infrastructure together we never imagined we could have before. Cloud-native database technology and analytics offering multiples of the power. I give you one example to share with you. It's almost like a joke. About 4 years ago, I actually happened to run one of the AT&T largest databases. I will later show you a chart on that, give you all the statistics. So we did an extensive market search and homing on the EXA database from Oracle and Teradata from Teradata. And Teradata was much more reliable, faster, for very, very specific, user-friendly, easy to administer, never fails. I said, I need that. So as I finally got all the AT&T internal architecture approval, got my first group of capital funding implement, I rushed my team saying, you guys needed to put it fast, and even we delayed 6 months for our evaluation. 6 months I put that into production, AT&T tells me, David, that's a legacy you needed to move on. Because you know what? In the market, just in that year when we were doing evaluation, just as we decided to deploy that technology, there are at least a dozen of new cloud-based database technology coming to the market. Offer much more cost-effective and equally fast, easy to maintain database choices for us. Even on a relational database. Not forgetting about all the other big data infrastructure you can do. So the speed of innovation, speed of going forward is just tremendous. Now, obviously, business cannot repeatedly invest. The good news for me was I only made modest investment. So I hope that one, I said, just put it on that, still have good use, special application go there. I'm launching my next cloud-based database going forward very quickly. We change the gear, we're doing that. New technology and business model will be disruptive to traditional database and hardware software company I already talked about. Please don't tell my old friends in Oracle. David said that. This one is a spaghetti chat I kind of created. I hope that it gets your interest. Is new generation of data scientists. And some people call them Renaissance AI for a good reason. You're really reviving the computer industry. It is. If you think about computer industry, a few years back, what is the hardest thing? It's the cloud. Today, cloud is assumed. Okay? It's already assumed. What is the latest thing everyone is talking about? Big data and data analytics. Everywhere you go, you talk to CIO, you talk to CEO, you talk to AT&T CEO Randall, tell the entire leadership team in AT&T saying, let me tell you about the big data. It's not only Victor Nelson needs to lead that big data team. Every one of you, at least in your VP organization, should have at least 3 big data scientists. That's talking about business, not talking about technical organization. All right? That's his vision. He said it needs to be part of your business, it's not separate thing. So that, I think that you look at a hacker, technologist, detective, scientist, visual artist, business analyst, that's all about us here this morning. Then the big data challenges and opportunities. This is what I highlight. First is we all need to have a vision and strategy. Whether you're an individual, you're interested in getting involved in the big data. What you really want to be. What is your specialty? What makes you so unique than other people? Company and business, it's the same thing. Analytics maturity. This is actually going back to earlier, this gentleman mentioned all the key skills you need. I put it on the domain expertise because the use case to drive it. At the end of the day, business is not going to invest. You do not have a clear use case. And the interesting thing is that every company, especially the large company like AT&T, we have a tremendous amount of resources. Even our CEO said, well, next year we'll slow down our capital investment. You guys see that. We'll change our capital expenditure from $21 billion to $18 billion. Now, for those of you working for various size of company, $18 billion, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. But how you spend the money, right? So the analytical maturity, I think, is the key challenge. Speed. So therefore, here is the deal. I believe a lot of company, a lot of business enterprises also have a lot of opportunity leveraging the big data to modernize their infrastructure. I work with AT&T Business Services. You wouldn't believe that AT&T today still have to support some of the legacy systems and legacy products. Any of you still remember the IBM token ring architecture? Some of you, well, it exposes our ages. And you have something called SNA network. Still remember that one? By the way, AT&T still maintains some of their very large customer still running on their SNA network. I look at your Paul's the face, yes, we do. And I told the product we should get rid of them. It's too costly for us to maintain. But it's hefty cash coming in. The CIO refused to move. I'm running, I'm fine. I don't want to move. Now, they're finally getting the message and we want to transition them to IP. It's much faster, much cheaper, it's much better. But the point being is that a lot of a silo business companies have. So as a big scientist, you can be spearheading the visionary to drive the changes in those fields. Skill set gap, this is a key challenge. And I think that speaks perfectly why you have the boot camp here this morning, because I personally believe that there are tremendous skill set in today's business. People commanding the skill set you said, computer science, programming skills, architecture, cloud technology, big data infrastructure technology, and business analytics. Ability using a different tools combined with your experience on particular domain knowledge, whether you work in the financial industry, health industry, information technology, or in telecommunication industry, whatever you work in, retail, banking, all those things, right? I think that best practice and tools, because it's new, sometimes you get dizzy what the tool even to use. So I think this is remain a very big challenge in the years to come. And security and privacy. And many things, by the way, when you break in the ground, even regulations or laws are not very clearly defined. In US, we are already probably more advanced than other countries. If you go to China, do they have a specific law about privacy and security and some of things? They're just picking up. They're learning in the rest of the world. So this is going to be a key challenge for us, as some will be restrictive to us, others will proliferate our opportunities. ROI, that's the last thing I want to talk about, is that this is so key to big data scientists. If you work on this, you have to keep that in mind. Especially for technical people. I came from the technical background. I run a very large organization today with more than 3,500 around the globe. The company constantly, when I think about what the company is investing into me and my organization, what the value they provide. A data scientist is not, you command a high pay, I got it. You command a very good job opportunity, I got it. But eventually, if you work for a company for 3 years, you haven't delivered really good data analytics, the company is saying, why I need you, right? So that's a very cold fact, but it is very important. Let me just kind of highlight, you can read through this. This is talking about some example of AT&T specific things do, but these are much more specific for the network, so I skipped that part. This one is more interesting, is transforming our business by mobilizing your businesses. This is talking about all the connectivities, is machine to machine, people to people, device to device. This is all driven by innovation, but also, by the way, because of that, AT&T, I believe, fundamentally, why we even formed the Big Data Organization. And by the way, the Big Data Organization is the only one AT&T still does external market hiring. Pretty much we just stopped every hiring in the marketplace because the reason expense issue, but that one is the exception in the big data area. Because we expect the big return from that area. And if you look at this chart, it's telling us there's so much opportunity for a company like AT&T because we collect so much data, it's traveling through our network. We're sitting on golden eggs, and we needed to monetizing that, right? So I want to share some of work we do here. This is specific to my organization. We're running the one of the best network, most reliable network, not by coincidence, because we for years developed very sophisticated data collections and data processing and data analytics to benefit our business. And in moving the value chain from reactive to proactive, predictive, and eventually make our network more adaptive. Just think about, I give you one example of adaptive of the network. In the mobility network, okay, you don't think about this cell site over here, and you drive on the road to the next cell site. There is a handoff. There is a very sophisticated algorithm handling the cell site handoff, and also has certain parameters set in the equipment to how to handle, how to do the handshake. And the optimization of that in real time, looking at the performance statistic, do I need to make any adjustment? Used to be all performed by humans based on months worth of data. It's a reactive, take 3 months to correct it. Today, we do in real time. Billions of data collection points, we do look at the performance. We have auto algorithm kicking in and auto adjust, and then change it and see the performance again, map it again, readjust it. That's what we call adapt and prevent. So, with that, this is our AT&T Global Network Operations Center. My organization is responsible for developing most of the solutions used besides some vendor solutions in the center. And by the way, AT&T is the first to come up with the NOG concept. Many companies in business, even federal government, even our NASA concept is after AT&T's concept of NOG Operation Center. And this will give you a sense of the amount of data we collect. This is the data we collect going through automation. I just want to point out to you on the top, we collect more than 100 billion alarms. And yes, 300 trillion performance measurements a year. That's equivalent to roughly about 34 billion measurements in each hour. Every day, 365 days a year. So then you ask me, in just a short time I just talked to you, 35 billion measurements we collect and process in the house. This is the scale we do it. Yes?
So I recognize that the machine can process many of these alarms and measurements, but ultimately, how does the decision get made to act on those alarms if there's that volume?
So this is not the system architecture. This is the process chart.
Okay.
Right. So what happened is that if I were to overlay the architecture for you, we have the collector systems. First is that we have network. Network, it produces the data, the monitoring data. They send over, we collect and store them. And then we decide an algorithm. For example, alarm and some performance event are being processed in real time. Other performance data, you have to compare every 5 minutes, every 15-minute cycle to the previous cycle.
So you're comparing
Right.
alarms to alarms.
Yes. You separate the two. The alarms are normally compared when it occurs. It goes straight through. The performance event, certain event, is stream data coming in, like probe data. And that indicates some of the issue immediately. And other performance statistics, you have to compare period by period. For example, one technology we use is standard deviation. You take last week's data as a base, okay? Average is this. This is considered good performance. And by the way, it weighs in. So you have to update that base. And you compare this week's data, not every 5-minute cycle, compared to the last week's 5 days average, or 5 weeks average. Doesn't matter how you set up your algorithm. It's all tunable parameter. And you say any of the things goes above and below, then you have a problem.
So how do you prevent the machine, if it's making all those decisions, from making a type 1 or type 2 error?
You mean the machine making the error?
Well, I assume the machine is making the decision if there's...
That's correct.
35 billion.
But the machine is controlled by the algorithm we implement. It's also machine tunable. So when we decided there is a, for example, in IP network, there's a standard thing called black hole. Any of you know this terminology called black hole in telecommunication network? That means you're sending traffic to somewhere you don't know because of routing algorithm, it goes nowhere. The only way to detect it is not by alarm, because this is the type of things we call silent network failure, right? Only from performance data, when you compare, all of a sudden you say, why I see a huge increase of flood of the data traffic going there and nothing comes back. So from that comparison, you immediately say there must be a black hole event occurring. Then you alarm the operation. So it is actually an iterative process. The word called iterative is a key. So when you implement your algorithm, you say, I find the best algorithm. I catch it, and then you go to your operational partner. I tell you, there is a problem. And I give you one very, very good example. Many years ago, we have a network apparatus called Y cable, designed by Cisco. Why design the Y cable? Because on the routers, ATM or IP routers, you have two circuits coming in T3 or OC3, whatever. The Y cable will connect to both. If in case that one of the interface port failed, you automatically switch over. Now the problem is that Y cable, when they did the design, it was very, very poorly done at that level, the connection point. Okay? It was error prone. We found out in production. We deployed in our ATD scale, right? We have thousands. Actually, in fact, we have more than 50,000 of them in the network. But not all of them, they failed. So there is a tremendous challenge. We know this is error prone. It's ironic. It was designed to protect and give more reliability, but it's causing us more grief. So what my engineer did was we took the performance event, compared every 5 minutes, and we found a way that if we find the out of frame statistics is increasing in compare, and in 2 more succession period, it also increases, it is a real good indicator that that thing is valid.
Right.
And not only that, we prove in our study, every time when you see that symptom, the Y cable is failing in 2 to 3 weeks. Complete failure. Complete the failure.
100%.
100%.
Wow.
And when we actually designed that algorithm, we deployed it. So we told the network senior VP of operations, saying, gee, we did this for you. And then the following week, she had a big failure. She sent me a note saying, David, how come your thing is not working? My team investigated because network operation people got the ticket. We actually have every ecosystem, the alarm, we generate all the ticket. The ticket is arriving on technician's desk. They did not act. They think this is garbage. They did not act. Now, let me give you the statistic, right? So here's the statistic. So the senior VP learned this. So they said, David, thank you very much for the data. Data proves everything. So they go back to the operation scene. Now it's mandatory whenever that system automated generate that particular alarm, go take care of it. Ever since they implement that policy, there was 0 outage in the entire year. So you prove by iteratively improving your, that's a great successful story.
No, it's a great success story. Now, how many people do you need to go and analyze all those alarms?
It's only 2 or 3 of my best engineers. If you don't need a huge team. So you told me I only have less than 2 minutes.
5 minutes.
Well, no, I'm wrapping up this in 5 minutes. Perfect. So I share with you some of, you can see I'm passionate about what I'm doing. So I still share with the people my age, much younger than I am, my children's age. I still love learning. Learning is rewarding. Second is plan ahead and own your own career. And you are here obviously is for that. Discover and unleash your full potential. Believe in yourself. There is a lot of things that each of us can build and bring to the table. And also, innovation is essential for leaders of tomorrow. Because I really believe innovation, people may think it is only patent, okay? But innovation is that you are willing to step out your comfort zone. You do some things that you never thought before. And for the business, and for yourself, and for people around you. That to me is creativity and innovation. And finally, focus and adapt. The world is changing. Today we talk about some best tools. Tomorrow some of them will disappear. Some will be the greatest product in the marketplace. And some of us, if we do not catch the trend and focus, and stay very focused and adapt and to our use, then we will be left behind. And finally, I just want to encourage you, above all, you need to have fun to do the job. Thank you very much.